Good afternoon. It is a little loud in here. The pair next to me is bowling, so we're fighting some noise. Wanted to talk a little bit about GSX pin holders and some issues you might see along the way. Our pin holders have a modification that we've made. We've removed the O-ring on the plungers, and every once in a while, let me get that out of your face, we get grippers that stick open, and pins fall out of pin holders while they're going from horizontal to vertical. But we discovered a very important thing, I think. We stretch the springs out. You guys can't really see in here, but there's a spring that keeps everything down like that. The stock length of this spring is 29 millimeters, brand new. We found that if we stretch these out by 3 millimeters, we go to 32. We don't see hardly any issues with grippers sticking open. These pin holders are well lubricated, everything's fine. The only issue is that we've removed the O-rings in there. So what we're going to do, we're going to take this solenoid out, remove our spring. You guys, I use this like putty knife, and I jam it behind there and release the solenoid that way. If you try and put a flat blade screwdriver and jam it straight in there like that, you're gonna risk breaking that tab off. And I don't want to have to change pin holder unless I have to. So let's finagle this out. Oh, stuck on the wires. You have to pull the wires out of the strain relief. We're gonna go up and out. We're going to take our plunger. I don't know if you guys can really see. It's a little dirty, it's a little gross, but there's no O-ring, and we've actually rounded on the grinder. We've actually ground that pointy tip down round, so it doesn't jam against the inside of the solenoid housing. So you stay right there. I'm going to lean back just a little bit out of frame, wipe this stuff down. Don't want to make sure it's clean. I don't want to have any dirt in there that could cause these this solenoid to bind up inside of the or the plunger to bind up inside of the solenoid. I've got a set of digital calipers here. I don't know if you guys can see. We are zeroed out. Trying to do this upside down in mirror image. Let's go right there. What does this say? I can't read it. 28.79. So it's a little bit compressed compared to brand new. We're going to stretch this out. 3 millimeters, really. That's all it is. Just a little wiggle. We're at 30, so we need to go a little bit more. I wouldn't recommend going over 32. 31.6. We can go a little more. If you overstretch this spring, you may have trouble with the grippers opening because they won't be able to overcome that spring tension. All right, we are at 31.03, so we can go a little more. Not much. 31.69. So this is good. We've got a clean pin or plunger. Oops, I dropped the plastic tab. That's okay. We're going to put that back in. We're going to align the groove in the bottom of the solenoid plunger back into our pin holder housing and set that back in and bring our pin detecting plate back in. Come on, there we go. All right, wiring is going back in this strain relief, and this is done, except for that pin that I dropped, but I will get that off camera, put it back together. We're gonna wrap this up. This is good to go. All right, we are on to the next lane. This pin holder has recently been changed, but somebody, when they swapped it, didn't get it put back on spot. It's not causing any pin setter issues, but it's like a ½ inch too far that way. So we need to shift it back on spot as per USB-C regulations. Again, this pin holder, it's going to be popping the clips, the tabs, the pins, whatever you want to call them, for the pin detecting link have to come out. And of course, it's the last row, which requires a lot of stretching and reaching and aggravation, because I am not a tiny human. You will live there for a couple of minutes. So all we're going to do, there's 4 bolts that hold this onto the square shaft. We're going to loosen those 4 bolts and simply slide it left to right until we're back on spot. One loose. Yeah, that one's spinning the nut, or the bolt too, not just the nut. We may need a wrench on that end. That one's loose. That one's loose. Let's see if we can work this one out. That might be loose enough to bump it over. Let's see. Negative. Escalating the situation. Alright, so we're going to try and grab the head of the bolt on the back side of the swing shaft. 10mm wrenches, both sides, and loosen that one stubborn bolt a little bit more. There we go. Now we can... Nope. You have made a liar out of me. We need to go a little looser. We're still not moving easily. And I don't know why. Very peculiar. Now we're good. Now we can shift left to right. Probably looking at my elbow. We got some loosey-goosey wiggle room now. So let's put a pin. Ow, that was my foot. We're going to put a pin back in the pin holder and move it left to right until we're on spot. The important thing with this is not to have any weight on your table, because you can actually shift where that pin lands, which makes it even more complicated because this is the back row. It's kind of hard not to lean on the setting table, but that looks good. I think left to right. Nope, we're a little too far towards the 7-pin now, so let's bump it over just a hair and reevaluate. This looks good. We could go just a teeny tiny tap more. Excellent. All right, we're on spot, and we can use the little plastic wire cover anchors as a little extra help to keep that from shifting around while we tighten it down. So let's pull the pin back out, bring our wrenches back in, and tighten these 4 bolts back down. I tried getting power tools in here, like a little impact or funky electric ratchet, and it was actually more difficult than hand tools for this. I mean, I'm all for power tools and speeding the process up, but this is not anything that will go faster with electric ratchet or mini impact gun or anything like that. Sometimes you got to do it the old-fashioned way with hand tools. Tight, but not too tight. This is a plastic piece that we're bolting down. Good. Pin detector plate coming back in. I just happen to be walking by. I call it walking the line. Just watch everything while people are bowling. And you go looking for problems, you'll find them. Find them and fix them before they become big deals. We're all good. This is done. Let's get out of here. I would like to stand up straight. So, yeah, we're not going to be able to load that. Loud noises. Not going to be able to load that pin in because we put the detector plate on before we put the pin in. So, that's okay. We'll go flat. We'll bring it up. We'll set some racks. We'll make sure it's on spot. It's going to be hard to see on camera if this is on spot or not because of these no slide pin spot stickers. This one's a little bit worn out. Well, a lot of these are. But let's go ahead. We'll hit set a new rack of pins, and verify we're on spot. Loud noises! Yeah. That looks really good. Yep, we're on spot. Perfect. We jump back over to the left lane of this pair, the one we started with stretching the spring on. We're going to go ahead and hit reset and watch these grippers open on this number 9 pin holder. That looks good. They opened, the pin loaded, and the grippers closed immediately. Couldn't ask for anything better.